Chumlee, the once light-hearted and beloved face of Pawn Stars, sent shockwaves through the courtroom and the world when he unexpectedly collapsed upon hearing his sentence. The moment was nothing short of surreal. The man who had once made millions laugh with his goofy antics and laid-back charm was suddenly on the floor, overwhelmed by the crushing weight of his reality. Gasps echoed through the room as spectators looked on in disbelief. It was a tragic, heart-stopping reminder that fame does not shield you from consequence, and that even those who appear bulletproof on camera can shatter in an instant. But what pushed Chumlee to this breaking point? What hidden demons was he grappling with behind that ever-present smile? In today's video, Hollywood Dark Horse dives headfirst into the chaos, uncovering the deep, tangled web of secrets, struggles, and personal heartbreaks that led to this stunning downfall. From the courtroom collapse to the storm brewing beneath the surface, you're about to discover that the truth behind Chumlee's story is darker and more complicated than you ever imagined. Let's rewind for a moment and look at how this all began. Austin Chumlee Russell, the quirky breakout star of Pawn Stars, didn't just stumble into fame, he earned it with his unmistakable personality and street-smart knowledge of collectibles. He wasn't just the comic relief of the show, he was its heartbeat. Fans around the globe were charmed by his offbeat wisdom, hilarious one-liners, and surprisingly sharp eye for hidden treasures. One unforgettable moment? That jaw-dropping purchase of a professional pinball machine, an impulsive, gutsy move that turned out to be a masterstroke. It cemented Chumlee's reputation as more than just the class clown, he was a serious player in the game of rare finds. But while viewers saw the laughs and the victories, they never saw the mounting pressure behind the scenes. As the show catapulted into worldwide success, Chumlee was thrust into a whirlwind of fame, money, and temptation. And behind the booming business ventures, his own clothing line, a candy shop empire, and even a sold-out live talk show circuit, was a man silently battling the shadows creeping into his life. The wealth and acclaim were real, yes, but so were the secrets, the stress, and the slow unraveling of a man struggling to balance stardom with inner turmoil. And that's exactly where the trouble began. But behind every success story lies a silent war, and for Chumlee, that war was raging inside. While the world applauded his glow-up and cheered for his rise, Chumlee was quietly unraveling. The pressure to maintain the perfect image, to keep smiling for the cameras, and to pretend everything was fine, was crushing. Fame makes you think you're invincible, he later confessed in a rare, raw moment of honesty, but in reality, I just wanted to find peace in life. That haunting quote paints a very different picture from the one we saw on TV. This wasn't just a quirky TV star anymore, this was a man reaching his breaking point. As personal demons mounted and legal troubles began to swirl like a storm cloud overhead, Chumlee found himself standing on the edge of a cliff, emotionally and mentally. It all came crashing down in a dramatic and heart-wrenching scene inside a courtroom, one that would forever change the way fans saw him. As the judge's gavel poised to deliver the final verdict, time seemed to freeze. The once jovial Chumlee stood paralyzed, his face drained of color, eyes wide with disbelief. Then, as the weight of the sentence hit him like a freight train, his body gave out. He collapsed, not just physically, but spiritually, as the reality of his situation consumed him. The courtroom fell into an eerie silence. Even the prosecution looked stunned. This wasn't just legal drama, this was human tragedy unfolding in real time. That moment didn't just shake Chumlee, it rocked everyone who had ever laughed with him, rooted for him, or felt a connection to his goofy charm. It was more than a headline, it was the unraveling of a man millions thought they knew. And yet, through all of this chaos, one thing remained constant, his unwavering fan base. Even in his darkest hour, people reached out with love, encouragement, and messages of support. Why? Because beneath the bling and the buzz, Chumlee has always been real. Authentic. Vulnerable in a way that most celebrities never allow themselves to be. Though his screen time has diminished, his presence remains deeply woven into the DNA of Pawn Stars. His legacy is not just about laughs or pinball machines or sneaker collections, it's about resilience. It's about falling hard and still standing back up, bruised but breathing. And that legacy started long before the courtroom saga. Austin Russell, the man behind the nickname, came from humble beginnings, just a regular guy behind the pawn counter. But when fame found him, it didn't just knock on the door, it barged in, dragging along luxury cars, designer sneakers, gold chains, and a new reality that was both intoxicating and overwhelming. His life became a public spectacle of glitz and excess. Lavish mansion parties, flashy purchases, and viral posts turned him into a larger-than-life persona. But behind those filters and flexes was a man screaming for normalcy. His Chumlee's Candy on the Boulevard shop in Las Vegas became more than just a business. It was his attempt to reclaim control, to do something fun and real in a world that had become performative. He launched exclusive behind-the-scenes merch, giving fans a piece of his journey, but also giving himself a reminder of where he came from. Yet the pressures of maintaining this empire while fighting inner battles became unbearable. Chumlee wasn't just juggling fame and fortune, he was juggling the psychological burden of a life that no longer felt like his own. And that's what makes his story so gut-wrenching. Because it's not just about a celebrity downfall, it's about a man who wanted to be seen for who he really was. Stay tuned, because what comes next will leave you stunned. Just when it seemed like Chumlee was beginning to reclaim control of his chaotic world, reality came crashing back in the most brutal way imaginable. In March 2016, the quiet calm of his Las Vegas home was shattered, raided by police as part of a shocking investigation tied to sexual assault allegations. But it wasn't just the accusation that stunned the public, it was what investigators uncovered behind the closed doors of Chumlee's private sanctuary. Hidden behind the fun-loving smile and quirky persona was a stash that would shake his fanbase to its core. Authorities reportedly discovered an alarming collection of illegal substances and an arsenal of firearms, including multiple handguns and long guns. Suddenly, the man America once affectionately laughed with was at the center of a real-life crime story straight out of a headline-grabbing drama. Social media didn't just react, it erupted. Hashtags exploded, conspiracy theories surfaced, and the public began to peel away at the layers of the Chumlee they thought they knew. One viral comment summed it up with chilling clarity: "He always looked so happy on TV, but what was going on behind those eyes?" The online world split into two, devoted fans pleading for understanding, and critics demanding accountability. And amid the digital firestorm, the chilling reality set in: the charges weren't minor. Prosecutors dropped a legal bombshell: multiple felony counts, including serious drug possession and unlawful firearm ownership. If convicted, Chumlee was staring down a potential sentence of up to 20 years in prison. 20 years. For a man who once joked about comic books and sneakers on primetime TV, it was a terrifying glimpse into how quickly a life of fame can turn into a living nightmare. But the impact didn't stop at Chumlee. The ripple effects hit the Pawn Stars empire like an earthquake. Suddenly, the show that had once been a comforting, family-friendly escape was now entangled in scandal. Would Pawn Stars survive the controversy? Could Chumlee ever show his face in the shop again without dredging up memories of courtroom drama and police raids? These weren't just questions whispered in tabloids, they were plastered across national headlines, debated by fans and TV execs alike. The brand was now stained, its future uncertain. And all of this played out while Chumlee, real name Austin Russell, was trapped in what he later described as the darkest moment of his life. Everything he had worked for, his fame, his fortune, his fans, was hanging by a thread. The lovable goofball America had invited into their living rooms was now being portrayed as a cautionary tale. And while he continued to receive some public support, the duality of his identity, the Chumlee on-screen versus the Chumlee under investigation, sparked a national conversation about fame, addiction, mental health, and the consequences of unchecked celebrity culture. This wasn't just a scandal. This was a reckoning. A gut-wrenching fall from grace. And it left one burning question echoing across the internet: could Chumlee rise from the ashes, or was this truly the end of the road for the pawn shop's most unforgettable personality? The answer, as you'll soon see, is far more complicated than anyone expected. In the wake of this explosive case, one thing became brutally clear: Chumlee's fall from grace wasn't just a personal tragedy, it was a cautionary tale for every celebrity walking the tightrope between fame and self-destruction. The story sent shockwaves through pop culture not merely because of the legal charges, but because of the jarring whiplash between the Chumlee the world thought they knew and the Chumlee now standing trial, his every secret dragged into the blinding spotlight. It forced fans to confront a heartbreaking truth: the goofy, lovable fan favorite from Pawn Stars was living a reality no one saw coming. A reality steeped in isolation, substance abuse, and dangerous associations hidden just behind the curtain of his playful public image. As news of the charges spread, social media turned into a battleground. Supporters flooded comment sections, begging the public not to judge him too quickly. But just as many turned their backs, shocked and outraged by the duality of his persona. How could someone so cheerful be living a double life, one commenter asked, echoing the thoughts of millions. Prosecutors didn't pull any punches, they laid bare the disturbing inventory found in Chumlee's home, a cache of firearms, powerful drugs, and evidence of a lifestyle spiraling out of control. Legal experts immediately weighed in. If convicted, they warned, Chumlee could face a staggering 20 years behind bars. 20 years. Enough to erase a career. Enough to wipe a legacy clean. And the stakes? They couldn't have been higher. Not just for Chumlee, but for the entire Pawn Stars brand. Behind the scenes, History Channel executives were said to be on edge, closely monitoring every development. Was their beloved show now a liability? Would the scandal cause viewership to plummet? Would they have to cut ties with the star who helped make the show a global sensation? As negotiations unfolded behind closed doors, Chumlee's legal team scrambled to soften the blow. They pointed to his clean criminal record. They stressed his lack of intent to harm. But the charges alone painted a portrait that many fans found impossible to unsee. The tension in the courtroom mirrored the tension in homes across America as longtime viewers watched their favorite pawn star face possible ruin. And then came the day the entire world seemed to pause. The final day of the trial. Inside the courtroom, every seat was filled. Some supporters held handmade signs, pleading for mercy. Others wore Pawn Stars shirts as a silent show of solidarity. The mood was surreal, a bizarre mix of fandom and fear. At the center of it all stood Chumlee, no longer shielded by fame, stripped of the jokes and the TV persona, just a man waiting to hear whether he would lose his freedom. Judge Michael Davidson presided over the proceedings with stern resolve. Every sound, the shuffling of papers, the click of a pen, felt amplified under the crushing weight of anticipation. And then, the final twist in this real-life drama, Chumlee had struck a deal. A plea agreement. He would plead guilty to one felony firearms charge and a reduced charge tied to controlled substances. It was a deal designed to avoid the full wrath of the law, but it came at a steep price. His reputation had already taken a colossal hit. The Chumlee fans once adored had become a controversial figure whose story would now serve as both a warning and a legend. But was this plea a true end, or just the beginning of a long road to redemption? That's the question we'll explore next. And we want to hear from you. What do you think about Chumlee's journey? Do you believe he deserves a second chance, or has the damage already been done? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hollywood Dark Horse wants to hear from its truth seekers. And if there's another celebrity scandal you want us to dig into, let us know. Because in this world of glitz and fame, the shadows are never far behind. And just when it seemed like the dust had settled, the courtroom descended into chaos. The plea deal had spared Chumlee a long prison sentence, but Judge Davidson wasn't about to let him off easy. With the eyes of the nation glued to the outcome, the judge's decision would echo far beyond the courtroom. While multiple charges were dropped as part of the deal, the judge's voice rang out with unmistakable gravity, laying bare the seriousness of what had transpired behind closed doors in Chumlee's seemingly harmless Las Vegas home. Possessing unregistered firearms and illegal substances, the judge said sternly, is not only unlawful, it is a danger to society. This is not a slap on the wrist. He then handed down a sentence that would haunt Chumlee's every step for the next 3 years, strict probation. But this wasn't your average probation, this was a legal minefield. Under the judge's orders, Chumlee would be subjected to intense court supervision, mandatory drug counseling, frequent drug testing, and no fewer than 200 hours of community service. Every move he made from that day forward would be monitored, and every mistake would carry the ultimate price. The most chilling condition of all? If Chumlee violated even one term of this sentence, he would be sent directly to prison for 3 full years. No retrial. No appeals. No second chances. The judge's words sliced through the room like a knife. Mr. Russell, I am sentencing you to 3 years of strict probation. Any violation, any misstep, and you will be incarcerated for the full term. Immediately. It was in that moment that everything fell apart. As the courtroom struggled to process the judge's no-nonsense ultimatum, Chumlee, visibly shaken, stood frozen at the defendant's podium. The weight of his reality came crashing down. His hands trembled. Sweat began pouring down his face. His voice cracked into a whisper, lost beneath the deafening silence of the crowd and the sound of his own racing heartbeat. And then, without warning, he collapsed. Right there in front of the judge, the lawyers, the press, and the fans, Chumlee crumbled to the floor, overcome by the tidal wave of stress, shame, and fear. Gasps erupted across the courtroom. His attorney lunged toward him, shouting his name, trying to rouse him. But it was no use. The reality TV star who once brought laughter to millions now lay unresponsive on the cold courtroom floor. Security rushed to the scene. A paramedic appeared seemingly out of nowhere. Someone screamed for water. A court clerk frantically cleared a path. The tension in the room became unbearable as the sound of Chumlee's shallow, labored breathing echoed off the courtroom walls. The world watched, stunned and horrified, as the once jovial star teetered on the edge of a full mental and physical breakdown. Photographers, already present for the high-profile case, captured the chaos. Within hours, the images were plastered across every entertainment news site. Chumlee unconscious in courtroom, Pawn Star's collapse of fame, TV star breaks down after sentencing. The headlines were merciless. The public, already shaken by the trial, now saw a new layer of vulnerability, the breakdown of a man caught in a storm of fame, addiction, and consequences. In the back of the courtroom, Chumlee's longtime friend Lee, who once shared center stage with him in countless lighthearted TV moments, watched helplessly. His expression said it all: confusion, fear, and heartbreak. He wasn't just watching a friend suffer, he was watching an empire fall. The question now loomed larger than ever: could Chumlee survive this? Could Pawn Stars recover from this public spectacle? Or was this the beginning of the end for one of reality television's most beloved shows? What do you think about this dramatic turning point? Is this justice or just another tragedy in the unforgiving world of fame? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more shocking breakdowns from Hollywood's darkest corners. Because on Hollywood Dark Horse, we don't just tell stories, we expose the truth behind the spotlight. The collapse may have ended in a hospital bed, but the emotional fallout was only just beginning. As paramedics rushed Chumlee out of the courthouse that day, fans across the country were left reeling. How did it come to this? That was the question echoing across social media, newsrooms, and living rooms everywhere. The once beloved class clown of Pawn Stars had become the center of one of the most dramatic public breakdowns in reality television history. In the aftermath, an outpouring of emotion swept through the fanbase. Friends, co-stars, and loyal viewers struggled to process what they just witnessed. Rick Harrison, Chumlee's longtime friend, boss, and on-screen mentor, was spotted leaving the medical facility where Chum was recovering. He looked exhausted, eyes shielded behind dark sunglasses, lips sealed tight when asked by reporters if Chumlee would ever return to the show. Meanwhile, the internet exploded. Hashtags like #SaveChumlee, #JusticeForChum, and a bizarrely viral tag, #HashotChumleeMan, surged across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Fans created tribute videos. Emotional reaction streams poured in from influencers and former castmates. Even celebrities chimed in with messages of support. Something had shifted. America wasn't just watching Chumlee, they were feeling for him. Then, just 3 days later, something completely unexpected happened. Still visibly shaken, yet trying his best to regain composure, Chumlee appeared in a raw, unfiltered home video posted to his official account. The lighting was dim. His eyes were puffy. He wore a simple hoodie and no flashy chains. But what mattered most was his voice. "I messed up. I know that," he began, his voice trembling. "Facing the consequences of my actions is something that scares me deeply. But I also know I can't hide from it." Gone was the jovial, bumbling goofball of the pawnshop. What the world saw now was a man stripped down by the weight of public failure, vulnerable, frightened, and trying desperately to climb out of the wreckage. Chumlee admitted it all: the fame had gotten to his head, the partying blurred the line between fun and danger, and the fast life had become his escape until it nearly became his undoing. He confessed to ignoring advice from those closest to him, including a doctor who warned him years ago about the dangerous path he was walking. I need to make better choices, he said, holding back tears. And the doctor was right. I didn't listen. But I'm listening now. The response? Immediate and overwhelming. Millions viewed the video within hours. Comments flooded in, some expressing heartbreak, others anger, but most delivering messages of hope. For the first time in a long while, it wasn't about scandal. It was about survival. And Chumlee wasn't hiding from that anymore. He declared that he's now focused on recovery, attending counseling, completing his court-ordered community service, and working on new legitimate projects away from the spotlight. Pawn Stars has been my family, he said softly, and I hope one day I can make them proud again. While the History Channel has made no formal statement about Chumlee's future on the show, insiders suggest that the network is closely watching his progress. Rumors of a potential comeback swirl behind the scenes. Whispers of a redemption arc episode, possibly even a spin-off documenting his road to recovery, are already circulating in media circles. But for now, Chumlee's story stands as more than just a Hollywood cautionary tale. It's a testament to the power of accountability and the pain that comes with real growth. His fall was dramatic. But his fight to rise again may become one of the most unforgettable chapters in reality TV history. So, what do you think? Will Chumlee make it back to Pawn Stars? Should he be given another chance? Or has the damage already been done? Drop your thoughts in the comments, we read them all. And if this deep dive left you stunned, inspired, or just plain curious, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more shocking breakdowns from behind the scenes of fame. Turn on that notification bell, because on Hollywood Dark Horse, we don't just report what happened, we uncover what no one else dares to say.